Hello everybody and welcome to day 2 of Backgrounduary. Now today I'm going to do the rainbow pastel blend or pastel rainbow, whichever you want to call it. Now I do have these combo sheets on Shellarty, compliments to the designer Kirsty, the admin on Shellarty and Colouring Friends. So if you do want a mini combo chart like this where you can add your small little combos in, go over to Shellarty and Colouring Friends and grab these copies. I have put these copies on, one very similar to this one. These are practice sheets, obviously. This one and the long, they're about this long. So they are on Shellarty and Colouring Friends. If you want these, all logoed Shellarty for your personal use. The blank images are not to be used in any other groups or anywhere else. They're for your personal use. You can photograph them like I've done here and show you with, so long as there's something on them, but please don't put the blank image anywhere else other than Shellarty and Colouring Friends, because it's done for them members for that group. So today we're going to do the rainbow pastel background. We're going to do this one, which will be a combination of light yellow, light green, light aqua, purple and dark purple. Now if you remember, a while ago I did my sugar skull and it's just waiting for the background. So this will be the background. It'll be nice and subtle, enough that it's in keeping with the colours that we're using, but it's not, it shouldn't wash them out because I'm going to keep it light. I don't want to use any of these bolder ones. So it's going to be a nice cool background in pastel. Now we're going to use these combinations. These are FABER Castells 72 soft pastels. You can get them on Amazon. I will link it in the description below. And we're going to be using these 5 colours. Now for these intricate areas I'm going to be using the Q-tips to blend the pastel in there, and then at the top I'll probably use my finger. But loads of people have said to me when I've done the pastel backgrounds, like when I did the Sphinx cat, oh, how did you do that? So this is how I'm doing it. They're very quick and very simple. So sometimes you'd look at this background and go, oh my gosh, that seems a lot. So what I'm doing here is just making it speedy. I could do this with pencils, but it would take me hours. So I'm doing it with pastel and it'll take me however long this video takes because I haven't done it before in this content. So let's get on with it. So we're going to use the lightest colour, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get all the pastel in my hand. I'm just going to bring the camera down, and because the skull is not in the centre, it's slightly off centre, it's going to not have the same colours through the top as it is going to have in this area. So let me just get the focus right on this because I want it to be perfect. I want it to look nice and clear. For some reason it's being a pain in the butt, this camera. There we go. And let me just turn, it is awful this wintry type of weather we've got today, so it's really affecting my lighting. Whoops, but I don't want that off. I just want it lower. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the bottom half first. So we're going to use our light yellow. These come in little cubes. Now it's up to you. People like to scrape it off with an X-Acto knife. So I could use this. I just found it. We have a lot of snow today in the UK, so a lot of people are out. You can do what some people do and scrape it off like this. And get your Q-tip and get it on the ends and rub it in. And that's how you go about not using so much of it. Or you can do what I do, where I get the corners of the pastel and just rub it in, because as you can see it just comes on that little bit brighter. You will use a bit more pastel, than you would if you scrape it off with your X-Acto knife, but I want it to be really bright round the face. So I'm just going to do this to here. I'm not going to go any higher up with that. Purely because this part won't be... Don't press on really, really hard either, because you don't want that line where you can't blend it out. But this section is going to be purely this colour. So yes, we're having a snow day. We've had a few snow days here where I live, but all the kids are enjoying it outside, which is good. It's what you want. They're all excited because we don't get to see it very often. Okay, so now I've put all that in, I'm going to come back to that Q-tip, and I'm lightly, only ever so lightly, pressing on it, and I'm going to start bringing that outside of there. But because I've gone on it with the actual chalk itself, or pastel, it leaves that bright edge that we're after, like a little glow. Then just feathering it out. And it really helps in these tiny little areas. I will turn my page, but purely for convenience. Now you've got to bear in mind how many colours you're using and how much space you've got. So I've got another 4 colours, so I'm going to bring this yellow out to about 1 inch. So I've got about 5 inches here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to bring each one out by about 1 inch. Excuse me. Got what I call a winter throat. Don't worry if it goes on your picture, because you're going to bring that off. You're going to brush it off anyway. So if you ever want a bit more, it's always handy to have your little bit shaved off anyway, just for if you want any, you want to brighten any areas up that needs to be brightened up. So I'm going to turn this round this way. Just come in under here with it. And this is where I'm going to start using the bits I've got on here. And I'm going to bring that out to the inch like we said. Then you're using your Q-tip just like a pencil. And the same with here, we need to bring this out a bit more. If you was using this on white paper, you would notice this yellow more, but I had to put the yellow in because obviously we're fading it out into different colours, so I need it to start off light round the skull. And Q-tips are probably the best to use to get in them nooks and crannies. So I'm just going to brush that off my little... It's amazing. Tracing paper is amazing for everything, or a piece of grease-proof paper, whichever. So I'm just going to move my yellow out of the screen, out of the way, and we're going to use the light green now. And I'm going to scrape some off like we've just been doing with the yellow. A bit more on this one because we're going to do a bigger area. Okay, so just put that to the side for now, and then I go back in with this, and I'm going to travel into the area where I've already done, and I'm going to come out slightly. We're going over that yellow a little bit. Don't worry about going right up to the edges at this point. So I'm thinking this green will still not be on show at the top. So I'm going to take this green up to the top here, and that'll be the end point for that. So all this section in here is going to be green. Same down here. Just imagine where your inch should be. So it was coming round, because this is, if this was central, you could mark it out with a compass. But obviously it's not central, so we can't do that. Cut that inch will be there. So I'm basically doing this by eye. If that corner gets a bit blunt, I'll just turn it. Go in here. And it's a gorgeous blend there. It is. I mean, you could do the whole of this just green if you wanted to. But I just want, obviously, I'm doing a rainbow effect. So then we've got this green, so I'm just going to work out. So we're coming across here. So this green would be behind here slightly. And behind this. There. And just fade that off. Don't worry about if any gets on your drawing, because it's wax glued on there anyway with burnishing. So I'll be able to rub that off. So I'm going to swap to the other end of my Q-tip. Your hands do get messy, and keep rotating your paper. You don't want to be crossing over the work that you're doing. Just ever so lightly rub that out. And this pastel I'm going to set with a damp cloth after it. But in the bigger areas, it's a lot easier to blend with your finger. So as we start coming out the detailed area, I'll probably change and do that with my finger. You're just making sure you've got a nice seamless blend between the two there. Honestly, so simple. Everything I will be showing you is as simple as I can do it. Gosh, I think I've got a monster in my stomach. So just coming into that yellow a little bit there. And then turning the page again. And after this second one, I'll probably get rid of some of this dust. But I just love how quick and undaunting it makes doing a background when. So just with this green here, I'm just gonna give it something to blend with here. So my dusting I've made earlier. Just push it into your paper. I mean, this is not the best paper for pastels, but at least it's showing you that they can be used on different types of paper. Now that was done on a mixed media paper, this one, so it's gone into the paper much better than it would on this paper. So hopefully I've been in frame throughout it, because it's hard to watch what I'm doing on there and keep in frame on here. So what I'm going to do now is just take some of that excess dust off so I can see where I'm up to. If I just pull this out a little minute, you will start seeing that it's got this nice warm glow effect going on at the back. So this is your normal colour, and then this is what colour it is here. So next colour, so that feels like I've wasted that green because I didn't need to use it. So maybe I'm not going to do any scrapings unless I need it. So next up, we're using our light aqua. And I'm going to start off this side, and I'm going to blend with my finger on this. So my sharpest point, because I'm going into this area here, let me just come back down so you can see what I'm doing. You will get covered in chalk. And just come out with this. And I'm thinking I've got 2 more colours, so I need to be careful how much I'm coming out with it. Overlapping the green slightly. And because I'm going to work this with my finger in a second, I don't want to lay too much of it down. So around here. And we've got to bear in mind the colours that we're using as well. So this, as it's coming down to the bottom, this area widens. We're going to widen that area as well, so it'll be slightly bigger. If that makes sense. Just working by eye and seeing where and how far you need to come out by. And because the next colour is a purpley colour, I don't want it to clash. So most of this flower here is going to be covered in this blue. And then coming in this corner here. I just want a little slither of blue here to blend into that green. So then you take Q-tip, you can either blend it with your Q-tip, you just push the blue into the green, and it will give you a new colour. So it will create a green in between your light aqua and this blue. And when I've worked the actual blend here, I'll do the outside bit with my finger. And go all around the detailed area with this here. These bits here are a bit too small. And don't matter if you come too far out, because you're going to put your other colour over it anyway when it comes to your blend. And if I go over any of that and it picks it up on that Holbein white, I'll just go over it again at the end. I'm not too worried about that. And then the clean end, I want to bring the green back so it just blends in nicely. You see? And if you need to, what I've done is get the previous colour, rub your Q-tip directly on the end of it so you get a nice bit of pastel on, and then just rub it in between your join. And it just helps get rid of that line and blend it in nicely. And then anywhere it looks a bit too blue, just add it over the top. So this bit here, I want it to be more greeny blue, because this is our blend area. Same with this section. We'll come to that side in a second. And then to a little tiny bit of the green here as well. But like I said, it's a messy job. It's not going to be don't forget, this is your previous colour. We're not using the blue, this is the light aqua. Light green, sorry, not light aqua. Okay, so then when you've got them green areas in, we're going to start working with the blue. And you just rub it, tiny little circles, and rubbing it into that tooth. It's not going to be anywhere near as bright as the colour of the chalk you're putting down, unless you work with it more. It depends on how many layers you want to do and fixative spray you want to use. So I'm slightly coming out further than I want to here, but that's fine, because that'll be my blend line between the next colour. But I didn't want purple to be in that colour there. So here in these areas, I'm just going to get my finger and I'm just going to slowly rub the ends of that out. And just get my tooth bit here. And I just want my green back again, just to blend this bit out a bit more here. And then use the remaining blue that you've got and just give it a nice blend at the end. Like I said, don't be worried about going over it with that pencil, because I can go over it with the white Holbein at the end. It just makes it so simple and easy. You will get covered in powder and dust. Okay, so I'm just going to come to this side now, and the blue's going to come all along here. Down here. On this side, but look, we've covered the majority of it now. So all this blue bit will be behind that flower. I might put, no, I won't put any there actually. Going all here. And this won't clash here because it's a darker blue that we've used on the flower. So that'll work nicely, it'll still pop out. We're going to mix some green in with that anyway. And I've made it so everything that I've used in this background is complementary. Bringing this blue out. You look like you're covering everything up, but you're not. Your Q-tip's going to sort all that out. A little tiny one here. Okay, and blue Q-tip again. just start working that out. I'll come back with some green there, so I'll do that in a second. To work that blend. And you find most of it anyway, it would slide off your coloured pencil that you've already got down because of the wax bloom. I think I did say that before. Okay. Kind of overlap that there, and I want my green from here. I'm just going to rub my Q-tip on the end of the chalk, and it gives us a nice little flat like stub to work with, really. And then just blend that in to where you want your blend line to be. And this is the thing with chalk stuff, it can get everywhere. It just comes off, so if you're getting any sprinkles, as long as you don't rub it into your picture anywhere. That should be blending out nicely. And put a bit of green under here and in here. Okay, that looks good. So moving these three colours that I've used. And let's get some of the... You're going to have to be careful when you're picking your picture up, because honestly there's stuff, there is dust everywhere. Okay, so let's just zoom that out a little bit and have a look at it from a distance. So check it's not off, and mine is slightly off that I've noticed. So what I'm going to do, and bring the green out a bit more here. This could be because my drawing might be slightly off centre. Let's bring some more green in here. But sometimes this is just what it takes, a little bit of adjusting. To make it look... I think I need some blue in this bit here. That's probably what's making it look. And then let's bring the blue in here. They will blend themselves as well, the chalk, so don't worry about that. Let's get a fresh Q-tip and bring that green into the blue. And Q-tips are quite cheap to get hold of and use. But because this is not an actual mixed media paper, it's not going into it as well as it would if I did it on some white mixed media paper. But it still works well. What we want it for, it's working well for. So at least I'm just going to blend the two together here. And that blue out a little bit more so it kind of matches up with that other side. And this is where it's good. Always zoom out and look at your picture. Pull it away from you and look to see how things are looking. Because if I'd have kept working close up with that, I wouldn't have realised it looked out of, it wasn't even. On both sides I would have just kept working with it like that. So it's always good to stand back and look at your work. And then blend this blue out with my finger. Looks gorgeous in the shadows down there. When I get the bits off into my bin, it looks amazing. But this lighting doesn't do it justice sometimes. So I'm just going to blend in. I've got multicoloured different fingers now. The blue at the top of the head. And a bit more with that. And then I'll just get my Q-tip and just go right into them corners where you can see your paper left. Got terrible dry throat. Okay, so then that's the first three colours. I'll just give this a bit of a blend here, because blending, it works better if you can blend it with your finger. And at this point I'm just going to get a clear Q-tip and rub it off anywhere where it's got on my pencil that I don't want it to be on. I think that's about it. Just a bit here. I just need to blend this bit out here. And it's honestly, it's the easiest, simplest thing to do. It's just literally blending with your finger or Q-tip. Let's get that off the butterfly's tips. Okay, and next up we're using purple. So again, I'm going to start off on this side. I'm going to come in slightly into the blue that we've got. And most of this is on the outside, so I'm not too worried about how even I am with putting it down. And then here. Do this half first. I'm just going to clear my fingers off with colours here. And I'm literally going to rub. And don't worry if you go over the edge, because I'll show you a little trick in a second. Pull your blue. Use the Q-tip to blend. You get it like that where it's showing your lines because it's not the right paper, or you've put your pastel down too hard, just give it an extra rub with your Q-tip. And it'll remove it. Bring a bit of your blue in. And just keep adding your blue to your purple. You need blue around your edges here, end of your Q-tip. I'm just going to put a fine layer of blue in front of it here for the blend. If you want to do it completely with your Q-tip, you can, but I just like to use my finger sometimes just to help with the blend. I always find I end up picking my Q-tip back up and blending it in. Well, these are just how I do it anyway. Like I've said on many of my videos, other people have different ways of doing it. But this is just my way of doing it. I kind of switch between both, if I'm honest. It's a gorgeous blend, this. It is an absolute gorgeous blend. I'm going to use the dark one on there anyway. I'll just put a bit of blue back in this bit. Bring that camera down. See, your hands get covered. So just use the fingers that's got the closest. I've got the foam in the box and I keep using that to rub my finger off. And like I said, I'm not too worried about that flower that's been covered up in the white because I can go back over it with the Holbein. The lighting today is awful. I hope that you can see properly what I'm doing because it's awful. It keeps going light and then brightening up and then all of a sudden it's just gone really, really dark. I'm just going to get my Q-tip here, a clean one. It's a bit heavy. And this sometimes happens on your papers. It's nothing to do with what you're doing. It bunches up a lot and it's just the tooth of the paper that you're doing it on. So let's rub in here. I'm just going to add a bit of blue and just keep blending until it's blended. It's just so fun. It is. Before I used to avoid pastels like the plague, but now I just go for it. It doesn't bother me anymore because art is subjective, isn't it? So you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Actually, I like the effect it's giving on that flower there at the back. And just sometimes there is parts that will require a little bit more work than others. Just put a bit of your purple on. and push that back into the blue. I hope I'm explaining it as I'm doing it right, because if it's hard to sometimes you just get carried away and you just do it. So I'm hoping how I'm explaining it is how you'll do it, if that makes sense, or how you can follow me doing it. So I'm just going to get a bit of the blue on my finger and just blend that in. And then I've got a bit of the purple on this finger, and I'm going to blend it back that way. I'm going to come in with the purple here. I'm going to be a bit lighter with it actually. It went down a bit heavy on that other side. And I've worked it as well now, so I know it's not clashing with anything. This has got the blue on. I'm just going to blend the two. And then put that in there. Because the corners are going to be the actual purple, the dark purple I'll be using in a second. Now, purple finger, rub that out. And like I said, if you go over the edge, do not worry about it. Because I have a trick. Probably people already know it, but I only found out it could do it today, so I was like, woohoo! There's not so much blue on this side as there is that side, so I'm going to put quite a bit of blue on my finger here and really blend with that purple. Because most of that blue is behind this flower. So Q-tip, blue, in here and here, and blend that out. The more you play with pastels, the easier they just become to use. And you learn your own limits with them. Yeah, and then the purple come all around here. Q-tip. And push your purple into the... I'm just going to rub this on the end of here. And anything we can go over. Because generally, before you put all your white highlights on like I have done for previous live streams, you would do this last if it was your picture. So you wouldn't have the worry of, oh gosh, I'm going to cover that white up I've got there. Don't be worried about that, because you would be doing that at the end. That wouldn't be there at this part of your background, should I say. And I'm just doing this is an easy way of doing it. There's probably far harder, better artist quality ways of doing it. So if that's what you're after, this video won't be for you. But this is just simple 31 days of simple backgrounds for people to do when they find things a bit overwhelming. And same here. So I'd suggest if you are going to use a pastel background, I would use a paper. I would print your colouring out on a paper that'll take it. Colouring books will take it, but you can see how it's gone on here. You just might get a few imperfections, that's all. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm going to bring the blue back in now. That's faded off a bit. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just come in with, oh, let me do these bits, these lower corner areas, because these are going to be the darkest, and I'm going to rub them in with the purple. Seems like a pencil, doesn't it? Scraping. Okay, and then lastly, I'm just going to come into the corners with the darker purple, more like an amethyst colour. That's just going to be on these very edges. I'm just going to pull this into the fresh Q-tip actually. Pressed on a bit too hard there with the chalk. Why is it when you do it on your little bars and everything, you do it perfect, and then when it comes to doing it actually on your paper, you like mess it up and you're like, ah. It looks horrible. Hoping I might start feeling a lot more confident about backgrounds by the end of this. I'm going to use the actual chalk, rub it on my finger and rub it in. Probably should have done that in the first place. And then get the other colour, previous purple, and blend that in. And the blue. Just bring that into the purple again. And this time it should all blend. Always looks messy. Everything always looks messy until it's done. Okay, and then get your plain Q-tip. You will use a lot. And then just wipe, if it's gone on any of your colouring, just give it a good wipe off with your plain. So it's gone on this flower here. and because of the Holbein being such a soft waxy pencil, it's actually stuck to that, but that's not any worry. We can get that off with the Holbein. Just going to go in with that blue there because I've rubbed it off a bit too hard in the plant. Right, and then I'm going to come in this side now. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it the way I like, and I'm just going to do it with my finger rather than putting it down, because it ended up being too harsh on that side. It's not what I wanted. But if you was in a colouring book, you'd be running your finger across the edge of here, so you wouldn't get this where it's coming over, but I'm going to sort that out in a second anyway. Just build that corner up till it's as dark as you want it. I'll really press hard in this corner. It's much softer now. I've gone in, rather than putting the pastel down around the edge, it's gone in a lot better. So just picking up the previous purple and rubbing that on the finger, then rubbing it in. This will help it blend. And then blue. Like I said, your fingers turn into proper artists' fingers, I call it. And same with down here. I'm just going to put this lightly across here. Works much better if you try and not put it on too heavy. It can be right daunting. Okay, so now I'm just going to get my normal rubber. I'm going to rub up there and it all just rubs out nicely. You're going over the edges. Or you could, if you've got a cutter, you could cut this bit off. With a lot of messing, I know. But pastel is messy. You can rub it out pretty much off anything, as long as you've not fixed it with fixative. And just run it along the bottom here. This is why I said you don't need to worry about being neat around your edge, because you can rub it out. There's my little trick. Some people might already know, but I only worked out that you could actually rub it out today. So on the smaller side of my rubber. along the top here. I've just got a bit on here. And then brush all that off. And there you have it. My rainbow glow background with pastels. I'm just trying to get that to focus a bit better. This focus is terrible on here. I'm so sorry about this. Let me just do it manually. There we go. Okay, so in areas you could do with a bit more blue. So this is what pulling it out does. Now I'm going to add more blue to this section here. It's just that standing back and looking at it from a distance that needs to be bluer. And then just a bit of the green. At the bottom there. Get that off. There we go. And then instead of using setting spray, I'm going to get a blending, like a blender. So just bear with me a second while I just get that. Just need to rinse my hands. Wet this blender, but just one second. Okay, all I've done with this is just took the excess off because I don't want it soaking wet through. And someone showed us this trick, I think it was Robin, in one of my live streams, where you can wet it with cold water and it sets it, but I don't want it to mix anyway, so I've used a big beauty blender and I'm just going to bounce it on top of everywhere I've just done that pastel. Move it around so it doesn't mix. It's like a cheap alternative to fixative. But it'll hold your pastel there then without it rubbing off. And it's an amazing little trick. And then once you've done that, I think I've got everywhere there. Let's pop that to the side, and then I'm just going to get my white Arteza pen. Sorry, the white, not Arteza pen. Just pop the sharpness onto it a bit sharper than that. I'm just going to pick up that bit where it's coloured my white bit of that pencil. There you go. And then just some little bits up here. What's gone a bit purple. Just touch up with the white Arteza gel pen. Like I said, them finishing touches you would have done off camera. Not off camera, sorry, at the end anyway. But there you have it. And then once you've done that and it's dried, it's not transferring your pastel anymore. So that was a really good tip off Robin. And I don't need to go sorting it with gel pens. So that is my rainbow background with Faber-Castell pastels. This is the box if anyone would like to buy them. The link is in the description below. I am terribly tongue-tied sometimes on these videos. So hopefully you've enjoyed this background video. I'm just going to take off the edges off camera on a little trimmer, and then that's that one finished. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm just trying to get you to see it in better light. So it honestly, down here it looks amazing. When it's that big light on it, kind of dulls it, or washes the colour out, should I say. Let me see if I turn it off, if it's any better. Is that any better? I don't think it is it? But yeah, when I take the actual pictures of it, it looks much better in the normal light outside of these lights. So that is day 2. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little quick pastel background, just fading it out with finger and Q-tip. So I will see you for day 3 tomorrow. Bye everyone.